The rarest books in the world. The Book of Saint Cyprian. Did you think the saints would never write a magic book? Well, no, because the supposed author of this grimoire is, as its name says, Saint Cyprian of Antioch. But can you imagine what this book written by a saint contains? No, they're not psalms. This book contains prayers for attracting money, work, and even love. So you know what to do to attract your beloved one and end up being so cloying like Barney.
I love you, you love me.
You can also find protection spells, how to make lucky charms, and the description of the materials you would use for rituals. Would you dare do any of them? If I were you, I'd be very careful. And because in Trendmax we're pure culture, after reading this grimoire, we're going to invoke the devil. O Lord Lucifer, exalted emperor of the hellish dens, I prostrate myself before you and recognize you as our Lord and Sovereign. It's definitely an inspiring text. Malleus Maleficarum. The Malleus Maleficarum was written by the monks inquisitors Heinrich Kramer and Jacob Sprenger in 1486, and its translation is The Hammer of the Witches. And believe me, it could not have been a better title since this book was used to identify the witches and thus eliminate them. In other words, burn them at the stake.
Witch! Witch! Witch!
It also includes examples of witchcraft, such as pacts with Satan or how to have very hot relationships with demons. This is very hot. But that's not all. Several chapters were dedicated to the thieving witches of virile members. Apparently, many men lost them in those days.
What?
And what do you think? Did witches really exist? Did they exist, or was it all a medieval hallucination? Let me know in the comments below. The 12th Planet. It was published by Zecharia Sitchin in 1976 and states that human beings are descendants of the extraterrestrials. According to this book, the 12th planet is Nibiru, and there live mysterious beings called the Anunnaki who created man by mixing the Homo erectus DNA with extraterrestrial DNA to serve them while they were still living the great life. According to the author, the whole theory was the product of reading the Old Testament and the Sumerian tablets, who worshipped to some gods called Anunnaki.
Oh my God!
The 12th planet, besides being very strange, is the origin of a series of conspiracy theories that speak of the presence of extraterrestrial beings among us. Yes, it did have impact. LIBER vel LEGIS. This book, known as the Book of Law, was written by Aleister Crowley, a mystic and occultist who called himself the Great Beast 666. This dark character admitted that LIBER vel LEGIS had been written by himself during his stay in Egypt, and that it would have emerged as a result of a demonic entity called Aiwass, the messenger of Horus. Crowley would have contacted this spectrum 3 days in a row between 12 and 1 in the afternoon. The result is an enigmatic book, very difficult to understand. For example, look at this sheet, apparently crossed out. In a part of it, it says, "This book shall be translated into all tongues, but always with the original in the writing of the beast." And then he adds, "This line drawn is a key. Then this circle squared in its failure is a key also. And Adrahadabra." Can you imagine what it could mean? If you have any idea, let me know in the comments. And just in case, I leave you the link to the book in the description so that you can read its dark messages. Try not to scream. Man After Man, an anthropology of the future. Can you imagine how many ways man could evolve within 5 million years? While your imagination runs wild, I tell you that Man After Man is a speculative book that was written by the Scottish geologist Dougal Dixon. Here you will learn about the different ways that the human body will be changing through the years to survive the new adversities and deterioration of the Earth. According to the book, new species will emerge like the vacuumorph, men whose DNA has been developed to support the vacuum of space, or the aquamorphs or aquatics, marine human beings with gills instead of lungs to breathe underwater. Dougal says that when we have destroyed the planet in its entirety, all kinds of terrestrial creatures will disappear. However, life at the bottom of the oceans will continue.
Yes! Yes!
The Rohan Codex. There's talk of the existence of a book whose writing is difficult to decode, and everyone wonders what it could be about. And although I am also dying of curiosity, it's only known that Rohan Codex was donated to the Hungarian Academy of Sciences in 1838 and went through the hands of thousands of researchers from several countries without anyone being able to decipher it.
It's some form of Elvish. I can't read it.
There are few who can.
The Rohan Codex has 448 pages, containing in its pages written between 9 and 14 rows of signs. According to an Indian polyglot, the Rohan Codex is a type of apocryphal gospel that provides hidden details about the childhood of Jesus.
Blasphemer!
However, many researchers consider that this decoding is false.
It's fake. Phony. Fake.
Codex Seraphinianus. This is a book written with a totally unknown alphabet and illustrations that seem to have been extracted of the mind of a child, but in the end, it portrays a totally new world, although unreal, at least for us. The author of the Codex Seraphinianus is the Italian artist, architect, and designer Luigi Serafini, whose book contains 11 chapters, of which the first ones illustrate an impressive flora, highlighting trees that break off from the ground and throw themselves into a lake to swim, roots that seem to come out of the stairs, bulbous plants and leaves with watermarks. The fauna is not left behind. There are cervids that reproduce in pots and disturbing images like this one, a couple that after a passionate encounter turns into a crocodile. Maybe something you could have seen only in your dreams or nightmares. The reason for this strange project has been revealed by its own author little by little. Besides, in a talk in 2009, he assured that there was no mystery behind these images, and also that it was targeted at adults so that they can feel the same as children when they face a page full of letters that they still don't understand. Voynich Manuscript. The Voynich Manuscript is a dark book without deciphering to this day. The text was written with a feather quill. Moreover, it's accompanied by curious and great illustrations. On the other hand, it has sections of botany, astronomy, biology, and pharmacology. It may be hard to believe, but this great book of 234 pages, which combined 37,919 words formed by some 25 different letters, was written by a single person. All the studies carried out indicate that it was so. Some think that it's just a farce as a result of a now-deceased joker who only wanted to pull our leg.
It's not true.
However, there are many evidences which indicate that the Voynich manuscript is true. According to science, the parchment was made at the beginning of the 15th century, and the text was written a short time later. Look at this drawing. Can you see the edge of the tower? It has some battlements known as swallow-tailed, which was a very popular style in northern Italy at that time, so it suggests that the manuscript belongs there. Currently, the manuscript has been housed at the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University, where scholars keep on striving to discover their secrets, although there are already 2 centuries of study without success. I hope they hurry up.
Be faster.
Patience is a virtue.
Ripley Scroll. Ripley Scroll is an alchemical manuscript with the most intriguing drawings in all of history. What does this book teach you? Well, nothing more and nothing less than to make the most precious object for the alchemists. I mean to the Philosopher's Stone.
What?
Do you know what that is? It's time to invoke the most intelligent witch of all.
The Philosopher's Stone is a legendary substance with astonishing powers. It will transform any metal into pure gold and produces the elixir of life, which will make the drinker immortal.
Immortal?
Thanks, Hermione. His authorship is usually attributed to the alchemist George Ripley. Nowadays, there are 23 known copies, one of which is in the Science Museum of London. Don't forget to visit this museum if one day you travel to Europe. You may find this book full of secrets. And do you think that someone is already using the elixir of immortality in London? Tell me in the comments. Alphabetical Africa. Let me introduce you to Walter Abish. He is a writer of Australian origin with a look like a pirate who has written a very rare literacy work. So are you ready to meet him?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain!
Alright, so now you will meet him. Each chapter in Alphabetical Africa is dedicated to a letter. The first chapter is dedicated to the letter A, and it's only written with words that begin with this letter. On the other hand, the second chapter is dedicated to the letter B, and it's only written with words that begin with A and B. The same dynamic is repeated successively until chapter 26 that is dedicated to the letter Z, where the author finally has the freedom to write whatever he wants.
I'm free! I'm free! Dang it!
Don't think that everything is ended here. The chapter 27 is also dedicated to Z, and the author keeps on using all the words. However, in chapter 28, the words that start with Z have disappeared. In this way, from chapter 28 to 52, the letters are removed in the opposite direction, and the author restricts himself again. According to critics, the purpose of all of this was to express that words can be a tool, but at the same time, an obstacle. Are you surprised? If you liked my video, don't forget to comment which one of these books you'd like to read. Also, like the video, subscribe, and activate the bell. This channel has a lot of dark content that you have not seen yet. Give a click on these videos to access the dark side of TrendMax.